Someone's
Probably
gonna
me.
lose it.
Okay.
Someone's gonna lose it.
You're live.
Yes.
Bravo.
Hey, hi everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. We are the Phys Ed Summit team, and we're just laughing hysterically right now off air, and we didn't realize we were on air. So, welcome to this little visible reflection. We thought we'd take a 20 minutes or less to kind of talk about our experience with the Phys Ed Summit, what we learned, the planning, the process, for a variety of reasons. One, to kind of make our reflections visible, and also we've gotten a lot of questions from people who are interested in potentially replicating this, and so we thought we would kind of give you some thoughts and ideas and things to think about. So the first thing I kind of want to throw out there is, how did the idea for the Phys Ed Summit get started? I know it kind of was a brainstorm between Bill and Matt and Naomi. So how exactly did that go?
I'll start.
Go for it, Bill.
Just to show you the power of Twitter, I was actually watching one day my Twitter feed, and I saw something come across, I believe it was from Illinois, about a virtual PD that was going on. So I clicked on it, and I just started watching a virtual PD that was phenomenal. All these podcasts or vodcasts going on, and I thought, man, that's really cool. I wonder if anybody's done it through Phys Ed. And that's when I got in touch with Naomi. Naomi, I don't even remember how that conversation even started.
And he was in a Voxer chat, I think is what it was.
I think
Is that right,
so.
Matt? I forget which Voxer chat we were in, and you had said it, and then we kind of jumped in, and we're like, yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
That was the first day I was in that Voxer group, and it was like the second or third Vox that came out was, how people would be interested in having more or less, it was a Phys Ed camp that we were kind of, focused on at that point in time, because we liked the Ed camp style, but yeah, it was, hosting a live Ed camp was always a goal of mine. So it's like I heard someone say that, and it was like golden. And then just through the Voxer chat, they kind of had just different questions every day, and the further it got away, from that first little conversation, and it kind of went quiet. I kind of brought it back to Naomi. I'm like, you know what, it's definitely something that we can do. And it's like, I know William kicked this off, so it's like William's got to be a part of it. So then we kind of started just a little Voxer chat of our own, and just, again, like we always do, just brainstorming and start throwing out ideas. So that's what I recall.
Yeah, no, that's what I recall too. And I remember, I think, Matt, you've thrown it out too. Maybe we pushed it out through Zedagogy, and then I think I started talking to Adam about it and just kind of being like, what do you think about it? And I just kind of stemmed from there. It was just a great conversation that we started, and just kind of a neat thing to get going.
Yeah, that was one of the key things I remember. I wasn't part of necessarily those early conversations, but I remember we talked quite a bit early in the process of the kind of the organic nature that we wanted this to be, and kind of like modeled after the Ed camp. We did decide along the way we wanted something more structured than an Ed camp, and which is kind of why we went with the Summit name. But I can remember some of those conversations that it seemed like they were happening in kind of early to mid-August. That was right as kind of like Jonathan and Sarah became a part of the Phys Pedagogy team. And then, so after those initial conversations, I know Jonathan and Colin got involved pretty quickly. And so that was, for the most part, that was the big planning team. Sarah and I were kind of on the outside of it a little bit, and kind of got in towards the end with some things and helping out. But what was the planning process like for everyone? I know we used Voxer pretty heavily, and we also had you had a weekly Google Hangout between the five of you. How did that work, or how did you collaborate together? What were some of the things that were helpful with that process?
Well, the first thing that I think we really did is we really started to research the Ed Camp model. I remember those early Voxer chats were heavily intensive. Hey, I saw this, I saw that. And so we just tried to take the best of what we saw in other examples that were already out there, and we wanted to put our own kind of unique stamp on it. Naomi, you want to continue that?
Yeah, and I know we were talking through Voxer, but they're also collaborating through Google Drive. And then we started just kind of throwing out ideas what that's going to look like, and we'd all collaborate on the same document together. And then we started meeting once a week, like Adam had said, with our Google Hangouts, and just kind of collaborating, saying we're going to meet for an hour at this time, and then let's just talk, and let's just start throwing ideas out there. And then it kind of stemmed from there with what we wanted it to look like, and it was a process all the way through. Like ideas were changing throughout the whole time, and we'd throw a new idea out there, and we'd get excited about it, and they were like, okay, can we make this happen? Is this going to happen? And then we'd say yes, or we'd say no, and we'd push it forward, or we'd be like, hey, no, cut the cord on that one, that's going to be too much. So we only have a couple weeks left, like this isn't going to happen. So it's just, yeah, I don't know. Colin, can you add any more to that, or Matt?
Yeah, I mean, it just, like you said, just started on just with that simple Voxer talk, and then we just would talk all week about essentially things that we could, and then the culmination of the week would be the Google Hangout and just sharing documents. And yeah, things constantly changed and they evolved. And it was a really awesome part about this is there wasn't like, no one had like a specific role. Like everyone just did what they could, and there was no like, you should do this or you should do this. It would just be people volunteering. So it was just five motivated people just doing just whatever tasks that they could at that particular time, and there was no roles, and it just, I don't know, it kept evolving organically. It was really fun to be a part of a project where there wasn't a specific duty list or anything like that. It was just like, hey, I'll do this or I'll do that, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the coolest part of just about working with everybody is like you just had the utmost confidence in every single person's ability on this team, and no one ever worried, no one ever thought, this guy's not going to get this done or this isn't going to happen. It was just, we just completely trusted each other, and like you say, you just chatted about it, and it's like, I'll take this, and this is a strength for me, so I'll take this, and it's just kind of continued that conversation that way. And my favorite part about those Voxer chats, when we knew a Google Hangout was coming up, it's like, well, I know we're going to talk about this on Thursday, but let's just talk about it now, and we talk about it for an hour or so. And then, that was what the 2 days leading up to Thursday Hangout or whatever. So, it just brought friendships together, and it was just really cool working with everybody, and like I say, collaborating in that way. So.
Yeah, and when we say we were talking all the time on Voxer, we were talking all the time on Voxer. Like, it was constant and nonstop. Like, you'd, like, go to class and, teach your classes, you'd come back and you'd, like, look at your phone and be like, oh, man, I've missed, like, 24 boxes. And you're like, shoot, when am I going to listen to this? So I'd be walking down the hallway with my headphones in my ear, talking to my phone, and my students would be looking at me like, what are you doing? Or they'd walk into my room and I'd be talking, and they'd be like, who are you talking to, Miss Hartle? I'm like, oh, just my phone, Voxer, it's Voxer.
Yeah.
So it was a fun little process.
What was it like for you, Jonathan, for going through this process for the first time?
Well, I know with me that it seems like I came in like after the initial like a brainstorming sessions, but for me it was really something being a part of a group that had so many different ideas, and like everyone had their own ideas, but as a team we kind of molded and shaped it into into what became like the Summit model, and I was just amazed at just like the ideas everyone had, and just like how respectful everyone was to each person's idea, and just kind of how it was all kind of molded on its own, and it was very organic. It was not really like a set plan. It just kind of became something out of like everything. And so that really kind of it really kind of stood out to me, and it was an absolute pleasure because I really don't get a chance all the time to work with people who have such innovative ideas, and just like being a part of this group totally like made my weeks, and like and just like put a smile on my face, and it really had a great effect on me.
I think one of the things that I took away from the whole process, you hit it on the head, and so did Matt, Naomi, and Bill. We talked about collaborative or the ideas that flowed. There were so many ideas that were flowing, and I mean, it turned into what the summit was. And I mean, there were so many ideas that were shared. There were probably 90% of the ideas that were shared never turned into the summit, and it was this kind of this collaborative competition in a way where it was, and those words don't seem like they go together, but I think that is where there was so much success with the group, is that there was intense collaboration, and we all had kind of the same end vision, and then the competition part of it was, the competitive part was like Colin said, we were just jumping at opportunities on where we could help and what we could do, rather than you do this, you do this, you do this. It was just like, people just stepping up to do it. And I know one of the things we talked about early in the process was about the idea of the roundtables and recruiting people for roundtables, and finding people who weren't necessarily widely known on social media. And each of us kind of approached that in a different way and made different contacts. Let's talk about that for a few minutes, and how we reached out to certain organizations or people.
Well, we'd started with our call for proposals. We wanted to get that out as soon as possible, once we kind of sent up that kind of teaser tweet about what kind of just introducing the Phys Ed Summit kind of. And then we sent out our call for proposals, and within that we had the roundtable discussions, or the roundtable discussion sessions. And I guess some of the things that we were looking for too was, like you had said, Matt, or Adam, was that we wanted people that weren't. We wanted a variety of different people that were involved, that maybe you don't always hear so much on Twitter, but have lots of great things to say. And that was kind of neat how, some people we had sign up through the call for proposals, and then we reached out to others too, and just, it was a neat process to kind of see how we did that, and how everybody kind of did a little bit differently too. So I'll let everybody else kind of speak to that as well.
Yeah, I can talk about it a little bit. I mean, first, just, the first thoughts were people that we knew via social media, and then kind of like Adam was saying, we knew that we probably should try to tap as many different resources as we can and get in the most diverse group of individuals as we could, to give as many different perspectives as we could. So that was kind of the process, and it was, we definitely chatted, reached out to quite a bit of people, and it was probably, as far as the planning part, probably the longest part of it, but I would say it was the most rewarding part as well, when it all came together and we were able to get the diversity, specifically with the elementary board.
I think we should commend the presenters, because, as we progressed in planning this, the call for proposals, those people were going in blind of what we envisioned, and for them to step up and take that risk of being live on the Hangout, I thought they did a wonderful job and really represented the vision that we wanted for the Phys Ed Summit.
Where's the applause button?
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah. No kidding. Thanks a lot, and thanks for taking a risk. That was a fun thing to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some of you, I'm going to throw it to you in a second, Jonathan. Some of you reached out to your universities and university professors, and some of you reached out to like colleagues in your own district. That was, I think, one of the coolest things about it. I know, Jonathan, I was going to throw it to you on that one a little bit as well, because you had some pretty good contacts with your district and your university.
Yeah, well, like as soon as I started to work, yeah, as soon as I started to work on as a part of the Summit team, I immediately thought of who could benefit from it. And, I come from a great a teacher's college, and I immediately asked, a professor, if this is something that he would be interested in, and he, immediately, like, jumped on it. And so I was, extremely happy about that. And also in my district, I have a really good relationship with our PE supervisor, and I presented the idea to her, and she's actually now the president of our state organization, and so she pushed it out on, through email in our district and in our state, and I think in our district we had like something like nine or 10 teachers who actually watched the summit, and we had one teacher who actually was in the elementary school roundtable, and so it was a really great thing to kind of bring the Phys Ed Summit to my district, because my district really isn't as tech savvy and tech advanced yet, but I know that with the summit it definitely opened a lot of people's eyes about that. So I am like very thankful for that.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us had similar experiences when, Naomi, you were reaching out to pre-service teachers, which was pretty interesting. How did that go for you?
That was a tough one. I sent a few emails to different professors, and they all reached out to their classes, but that's a scary one. Especially when, some pre-service teachers were on Twitter, but for them to jump out and, take that risk and be vulnerable so early in their career, it was a tough one. So at first we had 3 people that were going to be involved, and then it ended up only being 2 people, so which was fine. It was a really great discussion. It would have been, I think, more powerful had we had more. So I'm hoping, if we do, pre-service teachers next time around, that it might take off a little bit more. But that's the thing that, and we had this conversation in the pre-service discussion, is that, what are the supports out there for pre-service teachers? As a Phys Ed community, what are we doing to support our pre-service teachers? And that's a tough one, because we're not doing a whole bunch. We have our universities, but how are we supporting them coming into this profession? And I keep pushing Twitter, and Natalie, who was on there with us, she's on Twitter because, I had talked about in a presentation with SPIA at the University of Regina. So it was really neat that she had kind of jumped on there for professional use and kind of got involved, and she got to be part of this conversation and a part of the Phys Ed Summit. But reaching out to try and find the pre-service teachers, I sent quite a few emails and quite a few DMs, and I didn't get a whole bunch of response back from it. But it's that vulnerability that people weren't willing to the risk they weren't willing to take, which is completely understandable. But yeah, it was a tough one for me to try and find those people. It was a little bit stressful, but it worked out in the end, I think.
And I think I would like to use that to kind of segue to the day of the summit. I know it seemed like the build-up, the week of the summit, we had a lot of excitement going, and it was a lot of nerves going on too. Some of it was a good thing in a lot of ways. But I want to throw it to everyone here, and I want to start with you, Sarah, because you kind of came in to the process a little bit late, and you really helped out on the day of with moderating and sitting in on that round table live and doing that. So the question I want to frame here is, what did you learn from this experience? that question goes out to everyone. What was something that wowed you from from this experience, and what was something you learned from it? So, Sarah, take it away.
Well, from the moderation standpoint, it was a really enjoyable experience. I really liked being able to back channel and kind of follow what everybody was talking about, and I thought it was a really cool experience just to be able to support Matt to help him so that he could focus and direct his thinking towards the questions and not have to worry about what else was, everything else that was going on. I think the thing that surprised me and impressed me the most was the conversation that the people in our roundtable, the middle school one, were having on the side that they weren't sharing with the general audience, because the ideas were so innovative and they were just so impressive that it was cool just to sit in on that, because I thought I was getting some extra PD that maybe nobody else was getting. And I think that today's meet was also very interesting because a lot of people were having conversations in there, and they were going on lots of tangents and things that weren't really discussed in the roundtable, and it was cool to read that. And most of the names that were in today's meet were names I had not seen before. And so obviously we're having some participants that either aren't on Twitter or their Twitter handle does not resemble their name, kind of like mine, and so I wasn't able to recognize who they were.
Who wants to go next?
All right.
Take it away.
My wow really just goes out to really this team and the presenters. I'm going to start with Mel, just because Mel Hamada, she completely stepped up. Here I am sitting in my house at 10 in the morning, and here Mel is kind of, and she did the TGFU session, and she's been home alone with her kids all week. Her husband was away. It is midnight in Japan when we were starting our TGFU summit. She had recently taken a nap beforehand just so she could be with us, which, again, just blew me out of the water. And then she gave just an unbelievable presentation, and a couple hours earlier, she's like, you know what, I think I'm going to join that roundtable. So the fact that then she continued to step up when I had someone drop out and hop into the roundtable from 1 o'clock to, I've heard a few people told me we ran the longest, like 2:30 in the morning for her. And then she even had a race the next day. But the professionalism of all of our presenters and the professionalism of all the people on the Phys-Ed-Goji team completely wowed me. It was free. It was completely teacher-driven. It was something that, we kind of just wanted to do, like, just for fun. And again, just support as many people as we possibly could. So just the fact that there are so many teachers out there that were willing to get this going and get it together and help us out. And then the support from everyone else afterwards. There was so many great comments said for the people that did watch the sessions and the people that walked, maybe watched them later. My only pow is that, my gosh, it's over. What a bummer. So with that being said, obviously we love doing this, and sure are hoping to keep it rolling, and that's about as far as I'm going to go with that. But my pow is that it's done, and
yeah.
So Bill, I'm going to throw it to you next. What have you learned going through this process? From that little seed of an idea that you had about 8 weeks ago to now that it's come to fruition.
My biggest takeaway was, as a high school physical education teacher, you sometimes feel like you're on an island. A lot of the Twitter conversations are around elementary, they're around middle school, and you kind of feel like, man, where are all our high school folks? And through our summit, man, just seeing all the great things that are happening in high school, it encouraged me a lot. I'm with you, Matt. The diversity of our group as far as the global connection. Derek was in Australia. Adam was in Saudi Arabia. I'm in North Carolina. Kayla was in Washington. And Chantal was in Alberta. So we were stretched all over the globe, and through the feedback that we had on our Google form reflection sheet from the participants, that's one thing they liked about the high school, is just how many different points of view we had, and it was really neat to see no matter where we are globally, we still have some of the same issues that need to be addressed. So definitely looking forward to future summits where we can address those. We definitely are listening to the responses and want to continue to drive our PD towards what teachers want.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the common goal of having great professional development for phys ed teachers is kind of like the driving force behind everything. Now I want to throw it to our two elementary guys, the roundtable that I had a chance to sit on. I'm especially proud of that roundtable and how we found participants for that. So I'll throw it to either you, Colin, or Jonathan. You can piggyback off one another, but share your thoughts on what we learned and what wowed you.
Yeah, I mean, I can start, Colin.
Go for it.
I think, well, first of all, like, I was so pumped, like, the morning of. I think I woke up at like 7 o'clock and I couldn't go back to sleep. I was like, I'm ready. Like, let's go. But just what I learned was just the power of getting everyone together. I feel like when you get PE teachers in one place, especially passionate PE teachers, just like amazing things happen, and you hear ideas that you've never heard before, and you kind of feed off of their energy and their passion, and that's what I felt being in that round table and just seeing all the conversation going on in today's meet. So just like, the power of PDs and getting people together. This was an excellent experience on so many levels. I got so many comments from people who participated and who watched it, who just got so much out of it, and really enjoyed seeing the perspectives of different teachers and how it kind of also matched what they were feeling.
Yeah, it was a really cool thing. It's probably one of the.
I definitely agree with you guys.
I was gonna say it was such a great thing to be a part of. I think I benefited. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I got so much out of it. Just being a part of the day. Yeah, like you, Jonathan. I was so pumped up, and I had like an adrenaline dump when the phys ed summit was over. I got like this headache. But anyways, because it was such a rush, and it was just a phenomenal thing to be part of. It was just so encouraging to know that there's so much passion within our profession, and that I don't know. I just feel like it's in good hands, and there's so many people out there that really deeply care about what effective and quality physical education is, and are willing to spend their Saturday morning either being on the round table or being part of a discussion on today's meet, or just watching live, or just even spending an hour watching a video when they can, And it was just super awesome and encouraging to be a part of that. And the round table, getting all those different perspectives of everyone around the nation, the United States, was a really cool thing, and that we could kind of support each other in a way and relate to each other. So it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so, Naomi, I'm going to throw it to you last. You were probably, throughout the whole process, you're like one of the most organized people I know.
That's for sure.
Serious. You do an amazing job with that. And so a lot of the organizational stuff on the back end, you're kind of directly responsible for organizing that. So share with your thoughts on how what you learned and what wowed you.
Oh, it was a great experience. I really enjoyed. There's times where I was just like, okay, I got to get this stuff organized, and it was more so not because the team wasn't organized. It was more so myself, and I need to be organized and mentally prepared and ready to go. So I'd go in and like change things and kind of add things to it. And but no, working with this team, I guess my big wow was just working with this team and just how amazing this team was able to put this together. Because really, it's not one person can't do this. It's got to be a group of people, and it's kind of what our phys ed community is all about. Like our online phys ed community is about supporting people who are passionate, supporting people who are, you know, driven to do the best that they can. Like everybody has said, you know, for quality physical education for our students. We're here to support the teachers, but ultimately it benefits our students. So I guess that's really my big takeaway, my big wow from it is that, you know, just getting the chance to work with these amazing people that have all these great ideas. But I was really excited about my technology session with Christina. I was so pumped. She's, you know, fourth year of teaching like I am, so I kind of related to her, you know, the same as with her, and she was just so excited, and, you know, the Energizer Bunny, and just going, and just the fact that I could throw the questions out to her, you know, interrupt her mid-sentence, throw the questions out to her, and she was able to, you know, just go with it, roll with it. And she was like, throw them in right now. Yeah, whenever somebody has a question, just let me know, you know, even if I'm mid-sentence. So I try and wait till there was a pause, but she was just, you know, a trooper when it came to that, and she was just fantastic. And then my roundtable group, you know, for the two pre-service teachers that were a part of that, like, kudos to them for stepping up and doing that, because really that's not an easy thing to do. And I know I said that before, but just the conversations they're having and you know, talking about how the phys ed community can support pre-service teachers, and talking about trying to get like kind of like these groups are like a PEPLIC group, or, you know, groups with different universities where you have a group, like a big roundtable discussion, and you talk about things that are happening in classes or when they're in their student teach or practicum or internship or whatever people, you know, all over the world call it. But having a place where you can go to talk to people that are experiencing the same things you're experiencing. So taking, you know, the idea of the roundtable, they want to push that out to, you know, universities all over the place and say, hey, let's get involved in this. Let's work together. And I know Doug and Natalie were kind of going back and forth with, you know, Saskatchewan, the U of R, and the U of A in Alberta. So, you know, they were kind of getting really excited about that and the opportunities that would present itself. So that was really cool just to see ideas stemming from the roundtable discussions and to support those pre-service teachers. So that was really neat to see. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, it certainly was the pre-service teacher aspect was, you know, something that hasn't been done in the phys ed community before. And so thinking back on like what we've learned, I know based on reading the reflections and the feedback that we've received, the one thing that I know for sure is that we've identified the need to do more of these types of things in the future, and more types of phys ed summits. And I can tell you over the past week, our Voxer chat has been blowing up, and just it's hard to catch up because there's so many messages about just ideas that are flowing again. So you know, I do want to make sure to thank a couple of people before we say goodnight. You know, Adam Level and Doug Galetti both helped out the day of the summit, and they started the roundtable hangouts on air for their groups because we needed a couple of people to do that. I also want to thank Spark PE, who contacted us late in the process and wanted to support online professional development for physical educators. And actually, we haven't forgotten about our little raffle that we'll be doing. The deadline to submit your feedback is Halloween tomorrow, and we'll be drawing a raffle there and contacting you to hook you up with some sweet Spark swag. So with that, probably about 30 seconds left. Any final thoughts before we say goodnight? I know we wanted to keep ourselves to a reasonable time limit here, so we don't talk all night.
We can do that, can't we?
Yeah.
I can't wait till we can all be in the same place at the same time at one point in time. I mean, these Google Hangouts are cool, but yeah, I just want to say thank you to the team, and you know, really fun work with you. And someday we all need to be at the same place at the same time. Let's make it happen. Sure.
A lot of fun.
And I just want to say thanks to all of you for being willing to take the time out of. I mean, we all have personal lives, families, and some of you have kids and, you know, spouses, and I don't, so I have that extra time to kind of put into that kind of stuff, but I appreciate you being willing to, and, you know, maybe thanking your families as well for allowing you to be able to be a part of that, because that's a huge thing too, because, I mean, when we're doing this, we're on the whole time. It's fantastic, but, you know, you do take away from that, so, you know, thank you so much for being a part of that, and thank you to our phys ed community for, you know, kind of rolling with our idea and kind of going with us, because at some time, you know, even though we kind of had a plan for it, we kind of were spitballing it as we kind of were going through the process. So, I mean, when we first started, we sent out that call for proposals. It wasn't quite planned exactly what it was all going to look like quite yet. So, you know, we were still kind of working with it, and, you know, every once in a while, okay, maybe we should send out a blog post explaining this. And, you know, when we thought we had written it out right, we'd still have questions. And I was like, okay, that didn't work, so how can we explain it better? So thank you for kind of bearing with us on that process, and we've definitely learned, and you know, we'll kind of take that into consideration for, you know, what's to come with the Phys Ed Summit. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, if anyone out there in the phys ed community, if you are looking, or I guess the greater education community, if you are looking to replicate or duplicate any of this locally or even globally, just feel free to contact us. We'd be happy to help. And with that, I guess we'll say goodnight until Phys Ed Summit 2.0.
See ya.
Good night.
See ya.
Night.